I don't know what's been going on, but it seems like the video game industry is in full-on retro mode right now. We just had the Sega Genesis Collection, we got the Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2, and now we've got the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection from Capcom. And this collects a bunch of Street Fighter games that appeared in arcades, mostly throughout the 1990s. But it also includes the very first Street Fighter game, which, full confession, I had never played until this collection. And it's not a good game. That original Street Fighter title is pretty hard to play. It just feels like all of your button presses and all of your maneuvers and stuff like that are clunky and sort of a little bit out of time, and they, literally and figuratively, and it just feels like it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's great that it's included in there just for historical significance, but it's just not that fun to play. What is fun to play is Street Fighter 2 On, and these are arcade ports. Digital Eclipse handled the job here, and these guys are masters at bringing classic code and classic ROMs into the modern age. They've done this before with several games in the past, and they know what they're doing. They get pixel perfect, and they get the precision that you want out of these fighting experiences. And it's really cool to see the Street Fighter 2 franchise kind of evolve in this interactive form. And you see it get a little faster. You see the rosters get bigger. You see some of the combos and some of the details and your fighting mechanics kind of improve and get a little flashier. And then, of course, we get into the Alpha series, and you get Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3. And then you also get, for my money, I think the most exciting part of this whole collection, Street Fighter 3 up to Third Strike as well. And I was just really blown away by Street Fighter 3. And what's interesting with these games is that by the time Street Fighter 3 was hitting the market, I was really starting to move into 3D fighters like Soul Calibur and Tekken and Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive, and I was getting more excited about the sort of the representation of 3D sort of design in fighting experiences. So I didn't spend a lot of time playing the Street Fighter 3 titles. But when you see these games now in retrospect, and you see the progression from the very first Street Fighter title with its rudimentary animations and its very slim roster, and it's just really kind of primitive kind of look and feel, up to the third iteration of Street Fighter 3, and you see the fluidity and you see these crazy character creations with lots of great details and all of these incredible backgrounds, and just the animation and the fluidity and the flashy special effects that are on screen. You're really blown away. You're just absolutely dumbfounded by the talent that Capcom was able to bring in, and also the way that they, shepherded this franchise and just made it evolve. And even though the industry, the video game industry, was really shifting away, it's impressive that they stuck true to their roots, and they said, no, we can make sprite stuff that's going to stand up to any of the 3D polygonal things that are out there on the market. And what's interesting is if you look at Street Fighter 3 Third Impact, and I think it came out in 1999 or something like that, and you compare that to the polygonal fighters out there, this is a better looking game. And I did play this game on both the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4, and I found that the Pro Controller on the Switch was really difficult to pull off some of the combos and stuff like that. So if you're going to be playing it on the Switch, I think and you're just a crazy, fighting game fan, I think it's time for you to kind of look at potentially getting a fighting stick. The PlayStation 4 D-pad, while not perfect, felt a little bit more comfortable, and I was able to pull off some of the combos and special moves and things like that with that controller. And I didn't really find a big quality disparity in terms of visuals or features or anything like that. It's kind of too bad that this is the 30th anniversary collection, but it kind of ends in the 2D era of Street Fighter. I kind of feel like there still needs to be this definitive collection of all of the arcade games that have been released up to that point, all on one disc. And the other thing that is missing in this collection are video interviews with the key creative people that have been involved with Street Fighter. And I think that it would be interesting to not just talk with the developers, but also a lot of the marketers and a lot of the people that kind of help to kind of paint the picture of Street Fighter for fighting game fanatics out there. I think it would be great to talk with players that were awesome at Street Fighter 2 in the 90s and show off some of the arcades and stuff. There's really a ripe opportunity to show the culture around Street Fighter in significant ways with a release like this, and I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity. There is some incredible historical documents and art and stuff like that that you can cycle through on here. There's this interactive timeline that gives you all kinds of details about the artistic progression of this franchise and some of the marketing assets that were created. There's music included in this as well. There's character sort of descriptions and bios for all of this stuff. It's educational to kind of surf through all of that. It's educational to kind of go from game to game and see the progression, but it's also tremendously fun and so valuable and such a worthwhile project to collect this stuff. When franchises do this, when they are able to survive for 20, 30 years, I think it's so important and so incumbent on the game publishers to get that collection right and to do the best that they can to kind of present this work, this artistic work, to gamers and to the world out there. And even though we've moved on and things like Street Fighter V and Soul Calibur 6 comes out this year, when you kind of look back at the efforts and the love that was poured into this franchise, it's hard not to be just taken aback, and just appreciate the value of this medium and this work, and all of these different creators. And the one thing about Street Fighter that has always impressed me is the community around it. And I've been to tournaments and, I've been to many events where Street Fighter has been celebrated over my career. And it's just an important cultural work, and I just think it's marvelous. More could have been added, for sure. It's hard not to quibble. And it's hard not to kind of, say, well, why isn't that and why isn't that? But still, this is worth your money. It's worth your investment. It's pretty rad that you can play it on the Switch and carry it around with you. And you've got all these awesome classic arcade games wherever you go. But this is great no matter where you get it, on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, PC. It's absolutely worth your money. It's worth your time. This is pretty wonderful stuff. I'm going to give the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection 8.5 out of 10.